because it's legal in Canada now, I'm gonna do this while I complain about what's been going on. So basically, I was wondering why all those kids that in public school who used to bully me and like wanted to humiliate me and hated to see me succeed, including the teachers who were actually, some of them are convicted pedophiles apparently, and I'm like, why would you? I have a feeling that it wasn't actually the Canadian government who hired that, but like it was like somebody else like forcing them to be there. I actually don't know if this, yeah, it is. Yeah, so apparently these 4 guys, so one of them his name is Cobb and Wally Yakub and what's his other name? There's a guy a guy who's trying to pass off as native. There's another guy. He told me his name was Alex. They have an expired refugee status and they're gonna do the same shit that David Nagy was doing. So they thought that like they could just like forced me to get them a place to stay or like have them crash at my place. The only reason, so the shelter staff were angry because they got lied to, but like the reason why I told those kids who were also hanging out with David to leave was because my landlord was actually getting pissed, and she was like, yeah, we get that they're homeless and they're threatening you, but we can't actually have them stay there because it's actually going against your lease contract and you've actually like it's, you can't sublet there and you've already subletting, but we're saying that it's okay, we're gonna let that go because you know you're not actually doing this on your own, you're being forced to, but you have to kick them out now, otherwise we're gonna evict every single one of you. And I'm like, you know what, you're right, but I didn't know what to do. So like I'm like, okay, you know, if because like they're like, I'm not gonna fucking lose my place, I just got this apartment, I'm not gonna lose it over some fucking stupid bullshit. They're not even paying me rent or helping me out with the groceries or the laundry. So I told them to fucking leave and they left, and they've been like plotting their revenge since, and they've been lying to everyone saying that they were legally allowed to stay there because it was a rental property from the government. And I'm like, no, it's a private rental property. I'm actually paying a realtor group to stay there. That's their own property that they're renting out. And I saw on the list later, like they're actually renting some of the units. It's a subsidized unit, so it's a rent geared towards income subsidy, but it's not part of the, it's not owned by the government. So they have 2 units available in that place for people who are under a certain amount of income to rent there. They said that's as much as they're willing to do after that happened. So I'm like, okay, look, Preston, come here, Preston. But it's like, this is the really annoying part. So the kids that used to bully me and all that kind of stuff, like, not some of the high school kids too, actually. But I haven't actually seen most of them. I think one of them actually realized what was going on and got himself out of it. The other kids, Preston! Oh, he's pooping. I think I gotta go pick up his poop. Oh, there you are. So the other kids who were, there are other kids who were actually bullying me since I was in grade school, right? And they've been like trying to follow me around, and the reason why they were doing that was because they were hoping that one day, like, they were bullying me to put me in this place, and they even like lied to my employers, got like foster family involved and all that kind of stuff. They were actually the ones instigating it. They were all ganging up on me, and it was impossible for me to find employment on top of what they were doing, because a lot of people are discriminating against me just because I'm from that economic background, right? And some of them are racist on top of that. So there's like so many reasons as to why they're discriminating against me. Oh, it's too much wind. Okay. And because they're doing that and they're like actively against me, like there's so many factors working against me that it was nearly impossible, and they were literally going out of their way to do this for me to find stable housing and actual employment. And from what somebody else told me, they said actually anybody in your situation actually have like faced similar things, which is why it's literally, for some of them, is impossible if they've actually done something wrong. And they're like, the only reason you're exempt from that is because you actually personally haven't done anything wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I know that, but he's like, it just looks weird, and they don't want you near them just because these people are like coming after you and harassing you, and they're afraid that you're gonna be friends with them one day, or you're gonna have to do something for them, and they're gonna come by the neighborhood, or they're gonna come talk to you at work or something, saying that you know them and stuff. And they're like, yeah, they don't want those people near them either, and they already like have other things to take care of, and they're like, we don't really want that extra work. And I'm like, you make it sound like I'm actually intentionally telling them to come here, and they thought that was what's happening until they found out that the cops were actually doing the opposite of their job to make sure that was happening. And I was getting really pissed. Preston! Preston! Where'd he go? Preston!
I think it's that one.
Oh, right there, okay. So that's why they were doing that. I hate smoking this shit. But they actually came back to tell me that I might have to do something that I don't want to do. Preston! Come here! And, and honestly, I was really pissed when I found that out, and I was wondering why these kids were harassing me. I haven't spoken to them in over 10 years. Some of them, it's been almost like 15 years, and I'm like, what do they want from me now after like literally making my life and my social life miserable? The entire time they didn't ask me out, they didn't ask me how I was doing, they didn't do any of that. All they did was talk shit about me and pretend to be nice to my face and going behind my back and telling everyone what a freak I was, even though I wasn't. And they were like implying that like I was a freak, I just didn't know it. And I'm like, yeah, and like the teachers were calling me a bully, saying that I'm a sexual predator and all I do is sexually harass other people. And I'm like, I feel like they're projecting a little bit because I don't do those things. Plus I was a kid, and I get some kids can get like that, but like wasn't like that at all. But it was weird when they were starting to say that kind of stuff to me. Maybe I was implying that they were like that a little bit, because they were. And they just say that right back to me, which is inappropriate. Like, when people tell them that, they're supposed to stop, right? They're like, when people are creeping on them and you keep on creeping on them, they're like, stop, you're being a creep. Like, you're sexually harassing me, please stop. And then what they did was, like, just target me and harass me afterwards, saying I'm the creep, I'm the sexual harasser. And I'm like, what the fuck? And apparently, like, they realized that because of what they did, not a lot of people trust them. And they're having a hard time finding decent and stable employment, and realize they're gonna go through similar things I'm going through, as in the food banks or the homeless shelters or the drop-in centers. And they were hoping that since I already went through it, I would personally do things for them to make sure that they have an easier time adjusting to those places and introduce people to them. Like, I was gonna do all that work for them after them literally trying to ruin my life. Because their point is that, oh, like, you went through it, you know how hard it was for you, and you know how it sucked when nobody wanted to help you out, right? So like, you feel like you want to help people out too, so like, you're probably gonna help us out, right? And I'm like, I would if you weren't directly involved in why I got to that place to begin with, which is my point. And I'm like, they don't get that at all. They're like, it wasn't our fault, like, we thought it was okay, like, now like you have to be friends with us. And I'm like, clearly you're trying to mooch off me. Right? Like, I had a lot of people trying to leash off me too my entire life, and I'm like, I was really sick of it. And I'm like, I was kind of glad that they didn't talk to me for a long time, because I didn't want to have to put up with their constant harassment and abuse. And then all of a sudden they start popping up, and they're like, I'm like wondering why the cops are following me. They were lying to the police, saying like I was sexually harassing them, I was stalking them. They even faked DMs and like faked profile pics from off my Facebook pictures and all that kind of stuff, and off my Tinder, off my Instagram, off my Twitters. And some of them were actively pretending to be me online, and they actually just deleted all of that profiles when I actually got online. And I'm like, okay, this is literally why we're not friends, because friends don't do that stuff to each other. And for them to expect me to be a friend to them after all that, without even apologizing for it, like, they don't even have any shame or guilt about what they did. They show up to my face saying, oh, you should help us out. Oh, you should do this for us now. And I'm like, are you insane? Like, why would I do that for, like, if I met somebody in my similar position and they had nothing to do with that, then yeah, sure, why not? But because they had something to do with that, why would I help them? Oh, hello. There's a big doggy. It's my food. Not you. Yeah, they've been making like jokes about how I'm gonna eat Preston. That's what I'm finding out. But I'm like, no, he's just too skinny. But yeah. But like, I'm like, now the foster family realized that they fucked up because like they spent all their money trying to harass me or something. I didn't know they were trying to ruin my life from the beginning. Like, that's what their goal was. Apparently, like, the only reason they even signed those adoption papers was to do that. Which makes me question, why would you even, like, give a kid to any of those people? But what the adoption agency has said is that actually, if I didn't get adopted out, I would have ended up on the streets. So, like, if I wasn't given to the couple who was willing to adopt me, there would be nobody else, or you'd be waiting a very long time. Or you would be getting sent overseas, which then they have no legal authority over, and they can't even oversee my development or see what school I'm going to or anything like that, especially at such a young age. So they're saying like it's better for you to have been adopted out to those people than actually been waiting for another couple to adopt me, because then I get too old. People won't adopt me anymore because most people like want to adopt when they get like babies to toddler age. That's it. And then afterwards, like they say it's harder to get them to like cooperate or like bond with the caregivers and stuff like that. And I'm like, but I didn't know. Apparently the reality of adoption agencies adopting is that only people who are actually willing to adopt are kind of shitty people. For whatever reason, they can't actually procreate on their own, and they don't have enough money to go to a fertility clinic. So lower income households basically. And the only reason they want a kid, they think, is because they want to do extra community service. Like, it's kind of like their way of giving back to community for all the shitty things they've done in the past. And that's what they've been telling me. They're like, yeah, that's like literally the only reason like people even sign up for adoption. They're wanting to at least have appearance of some sort of normalcy. And I was like so pissed because I was like, okay, I didn't understand why they were popping up and showing their faces and like trying to like send messages to me or whatever. And actually, it turns out, yeah. Oh, including the university kids, who they just hated me because I wasn't from the same income bracket, and they thought that everybody who is in that income bracket is a thief. It's ironic that they were stealing from me the entire time and they're copying me, but they're like calling me the thief, and I'm like, what the fuck? So Preston, come here. Yeah, so I was like really pissed off about that. I want to finish this video before my battery dies. Yeah, but I'm like really annoying. I was hoping that they would just leave me alone after me ignoring them, but I was really just like, I'm just really yelling. I have no idea where the cops leave them.